Hello once again, ladies and joins. This is Al, and what you are looking at here, if you don't know it or haven't guessed, by the mixture, actually there are two images here. This is an aerial view of Bikini Atoll. Atoll, I don't know how to pronounce exactly. Atoll. The famous site of several nuclear bomb tests conducted by the United States government. But it never was actually an island. At least I don't think so. Doesn't mention that here. This is what it looks like. And this word, ATOLL, which I just learned today, is a ring-shaped coral reef that encircles a lagoon. So it's not exactly an island. It's just a ring, and inside is a lagoon. And the bombs were dropped, many of them, in fact. Well, it seems. In case you can, 23. Either on the reef, on the sea, in the air, or underwater, at Bikini Atoll. And in total, 42 and a bit megatons worth of explosives detonated there. People did live there, but they were forced to leave. And it was probably for under their best interest to get going before the bombs started going off. I'm not sure, I didn't read any further up on it. This image is actually taken from a position somewhere on the atoll, out to the sea. So this one wasn't dropped or wasn't detonated on the thing. These palm trees belong to this image, and those would have been somewhere along here. Of course, in those days, people didn't really understand much about the dangers of radiation, and especially airborne radioactive particles. And so I'm probably the person who took this photograph will have died early from some form of cancer. Present thought. Now on to the title of this video mentions the next step in a project that I've taken. I've put this to capital, and I've added to the basic task accelerator support. So now what I have here loaded into the debugger is just nothing, just the two libs that we need, and just hopefully I did actually test this already, and I think it's going to work. So now supposing we want to make a new project, we give it our name, whatever we want. I don't know. I don't know what to call it. What did I call it last time? Frame tester. Let's try something new. Accelerator test. Accelerate test. Test Excel, not Excel. We never want to use that word. Test. E, can't use an L here. Actor. How about that? Actor. Accelerator. No L because we don't want to have or think anything about this another product that is called HACCEL, and that product called HACCEL is the persistent target of pretty much every update that has ever been produced by the Microsoft Corporation. Now, what have we gotten here for free this time? I put in the registry thing automatically, so you have your program has immediate access to the registry. The name of the registry key I've taken from the product name in the version resource, so it should be this. Maybe with some, well, let's just see what it is. You can see here's Accelerator. Test actor product name. Okay, so we could change that to something else if we wanted. How about 3000? It's always been a always, I don't know why, but I just have something about that number. Now, how did I figure this out? Well, essentially, first I used the resource editor to see what it would do, and then I just did the rest by hand. So I just edited the resource file by hand, and the way it works is quite simple. This part is now all these things are just indicating to the user which accelerators do what. So Ctrl-N makes a new. This is a tab. This is a regular tab. So these don't do anything. They're just there for help. The accelerators themselves work this way. This is the identifier that will be produced when Ctrl-C is pressed. So we'll get an ID edit copy. If Ctrl-Y is pressed, we'll get an ID edit redo, and so on. For the F3 one, they have a special number defined, and this doesn't have any control modifier. Now this is what it typed in for me, so it seems like it's all these have no invert, but they're in a different column than this one is. But this is what it did when I used the resource editor to actually enter them in, and they look like this in here, and you can enter them in by hand, right? But it tries to make up numbers for you, and I don't use those numbers for these ones. If you want to add more, then you get a new identifier number allocated for your personalized hotkey. So you see here, it says no modifier. It's a virtual key code, and this is its value. It doesn't have to be I'm afraid. If you want, you can specify ASCII, I don't know why, but I didn't try ASCII, and it worked this way, so why stick with something that's working? Now the other thing is, now I've commented this out, but currently I want it back. I want the brush. Now I could have done this on a separate one, and maybe I should have. I'll do that, just so you see it. There's something called a handle to an accelerator, and like everything else, if it's a resource in your executable, you use some kind of load function to extract the resource from the module. In this case, it happens to have this particular identifier, 103. Doesn't have to be, but that's the one it took. Okay, yeah, no, it has to be. Because 102 is taken, and I think this is also well, this is a type of resource too, so it has to be the next value. And in order to use an accelerator, those accelerators, generally, you have to use a different sort of message loop. The normal message loop looks like this. While get message, if we get -1, something bad. Otherwise, translate dispatch until this returns 0. Until get message returns 0. In this case, where there's accelerators, first you call and you check to see. You call this special function, which requires the h-wind of the window. Now, previously, this h-wind had been a private function, but now either make this function, which it could be a member of TS window, static member, in which case it could do this without exposing h-wind, or I got to make it public, so I made it public. Now what this does is, this thing, if it returns true, that means that the message that came along had to do with accelerators, and it's already been handled, so don't do anything. Otherwise, if this thing returns false, it wasn't an accelerator related message, and therefore it's up to these functions, the normal ones, to do their thing. By the way, there's a third type of message loop. Well, not really a third. It should apply to all of these message loops. One thing that I'm not taking into account here is the possibility of dialogue, of there being dialogues, right? Sometimes messages are intended specifically for a dialogue, not for a child dialogue, or a modeless dialogue, or something that's not intended for for the target window, and that has a similar type of interface. It's called the isDialog message. But we'll get to that because we'll need to. But as it is, this works. And I've given an example in our program of a file open. I just copied the same file open code from the other project. Our WinProc still does nothing. except exit works, of course, and I just chose to do this file so that you can see how to override a function. And this is one that has an associated accelerator, so we test the accelerator. Whoops. Did I modify it? Oh. Keep that. Reminded me to do this. Now, oh dear God. What did I change? Oh. That's why I was complaining. I've changed that. Now, I've put in all of the standard ones, just like I did for the messages. Oh, by the way, if you look back at that code, I didn't tell you, but this first, it should have been obvious enough. This is the message that I did say. You get these messages that correspond with these menu items. That's what the accelerators are for. It's a keyboard interface to the menus, so that these identifiers need to be the same. Okay. Let's get rid of that. One thing that's different after changing the message loop itself is that if I just press the Alt key now, didn't work. Worked before. Okay. Well, anyway, if I do Ctrl-O, that worked. It took me to the open file. Dialogues and text files. And I'm missing something there. Hang on a second. Oops. Something missing. Oh no, that's nothing. It was working before. When I press Alt, maybe it's something to do with the recorder. Because, let me see about Notepad. When I pressed Alt, it's the recorder. It took me up into the menu area. I can't get there. Maybe I Control. No. I was able to do this browsing without having to use the mouse at all. Oh, there, see? That state. When I hit escape, this was the situation after pressing Alt, which is what it's supposed to do. And I thought that had to do with the accelerator, but now I have to try without using the thing. Anyway, as you saw, I did Ctrl-O and that brought up the open file dialog, again with some place that we haven't been anywhere yet. Suppose I go here and select this. Okay. Also, I thought I put I thought I put in about by default, but I guess I forgot. I had a message box here. Oh, but I certainly don't have on. Okay, anyway. Everything else is the same. This is uncut. I haven't, removed all the things I don't need. These are all standards. Why the save is not aligned with these two, I don't know. It's true for every program. See? But those accelerator keys let me just turn that on. Will work for every message, and you can see them working if we turn on the debug tracing. Turn debug trace on, and also we have our personal registry key already created after running the first time. But that's not what it's like that. Okay, here's our program. For debug stuff, that appears in a different section. But I can put the console on so you can see the messages. They also go in the output window, but it's easier to see them on the side, I think. I'll make this smaller. So if I go Ctrl-O, what happened was I got a WM command E101, which is the open file thing. So if I did Ctrl-N, I should get the one for new. And there it is. E100 is file new. And so on. Ctrl-C. E122 is copy. And that's it for the these things. Now this is supposed to work. I don't know why it's not working right now, but it's probably the recorder. Although it's a keyboard thing, it should work. Oh no, it's not working for Notepad either. And I know it's supposed to. Okay. So now our main goal, so that's it for that test. That's been tested. Our next goal is to do like Notepad. Oh, let me show you. Here's our registry. This is the last place we open. The last place an open file dialog with this title opened a file. Okay, now there's a similar one for save, and it also remembers where you saved to last time. So that's useful. That's useful. Although I have to think about save, because I've noticed save to the last place you saved to is not very useful. It really should. A save should be in the same. It should go to this same places where something was opened from. But you may have opened something through this interface, or maybe drag and drop. And it's hard to say what's best. But what I do know is, unfortunately, this program does the wrong thing. So I have to use Notepad when I want to do what I might suppose I take a file and I want to modify it. So this file, right? I drop it in here and I make some modifications, but I want to save it, but I don't want to overwrite that one. I just want to make a second copy, basically, right? Now, if I do save as, where do you think? What directory do you think it should start out in? Well, NPP localization doesn't sound like the place where I want, to save. I would have wanted to save that file. The most obvious place is where I opened it from, right? Not the last place that this, and I don't even know. Oh, now look where it's going. It's found a different spot. Or is it the same? No, it was in here or something. No, I don't know where it was. But it was in the wrong spot, and it's not even on the same drive. But if you use Notepad, right, I make some modifications, and now I say save as. It's in the same place where I opened it from. That's correct. That's what it should do. And our program should operate like that. I don't really want to save it. But I might want to make a modification and make a copy, as I often do. Okay. So now for opening, this is okay because it's a long-lasting thing, and it has to do with that particular dialog. Saving, I don't think it's useful to maintain the same saving directory. Okay. Then the next thing is to now make a new project, or want to actually do something with that open. At least open a file and display it, right? And I told you that there's already something built in to do that, and it's another kind of window called Edit. And I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to fiddle around and make sure I get it working, and that'll be the next update. So again, all I've done is I've taken this basic thing and I've gone through, and for every single message, every single menu item, right, I've added the standard hotkey. Some of these menu items, I don't know if they have a standard hotkey, so they're not in there. Like, I don't know about help index. Help finder, that's to do with help. I know F1 is help, so this might be F1. I could try that. How about this? Tab F1. So this is how I do it. It's really easy. So this will be the help file. Now I'm just putting this here as a reminder. Try that again. Delete, insert, F1. Okay, so now that's done. So now F1 will take you, will produce a help finder message. This is what you normally expect in a program. I could do it in our thing too. We would have got that by default. I've done that before. You don't want to use the editor for any of the standard things. Your own personal things you can, but for these it's going to try and make an identifier that you don't want. What was it? Help find. So I just need this one bit. Okay. Recompile. I'm already there. Okay. So now, if I press F1, there it is. E143, which must be the help finder message. Okay. That's it. Okay, so see you next time. Oh, no, okay, I'll show you.